So how do you blow your competition out of the water? How do you completely annihilate your competition? How do you tap into the flow state so much that your competition doesn't even become your main focus? Your drive, your purpose, your mission does. Now, this isn't some egotistical rant about how to crush your opponents. This is an egolessness dance for you to access such a 0 point state in your own internal world that other people can't access that. It's like a force field in that moment. So that's the visualization that I want you to have. Through your actions, you just find the next best thing to do in that moment, in that millisecond. You can't beat somebody at something that they love doing more than you. Really listen to that datum. You can't beat somebody who loves doing that task way more than you. You can't beat a boxer who loves boxing more than you. You can't beat a painter who loves painting more than you. So where is the foundation? The foundation starts with love for the craft, whatever it is that you're trying to tap into, okay? If it's MMA, you gotta love that, bro, more than anything, okay? I love making YouTube videos. Why do you think I do it every day? It's natural to me. I love doing it. So it's gotta come at a level of devotion. Bhakti, we would call it, right? Bhakti yoga is devotion yoga in a sense. What yoga teaches you is to be okay with the tension, right? When you can contort into different positions with your own body, that's what life is doing to you already. So if you can be okay with the tension there, and oh, my joints are hurting, oh, this is uncomfortable, oh, I'm sweating profusely, oh, this asana or position feels uncomfortable, all of that gets renewed. And the next time you go in, it's a lot easier. And the next time you go in, it's a lot easier. The same with beating your competition. It seems terrifying at first, but if you keep competing, you'll get better at it. It gets easier. It gets more second nature. And that's where the flow state taps in. The flow state is your vehicle for mastery. So if you can tap in every time, I see my mentors tap in, and they all do it in very different ways. And I take the nuances from all of them, okay? I've noticed AZD using some light codes, okay? As well as, closing his eyes, similar to how I channel, in a sense, where maybe he manipulates his breath and the visions and completely immerses himself into the environment. Basically, he becomes the imagination. He merges with that world. And many times, there'll be times where, something is speaking through me. And that is pure art, right? That's an art. There's an art and science to this thing. You can understand the science, but where is the art in it? You see? So you might go about this trying to logically figure it out, how to strategize and defeat your opponent using your logic. But then there's this spiritual or this intuitive side that knows that they can win because they are source consciousness as well. And so am I. What makes them better than me? Nothing. I have the same spiritual faculties or soul as this other person. You see? They're in the game, I'm in the game. They're no better than me, there's no worse than me, there's no hierarchy there. Maybe they've won more matches than me, but do they live and breathe and eat that craft? I've seen other people, like for instance, a couple of my other coaches, they would take cold plunges and they would do movements to raise their frequency up and Kriya yoga and stuff like that. Other people, they just get into complete silence or Zen mode to clear the mind, right? So you can actually try this out. The next time that you feel an urgency to try to listen to some pump up music to get yourself into a state, and that's great too. I love doing that, I'm not opposed to that, but just try this out the next time. The next time you go into your flow state task, whatever that is, whether it's writing or whatever it is, just go into a deep silence and a stillness and just notice your breathing. and just rest there and allow whatever needs to come out to come out. Any tension, just relieve that stress through the breath, letting it out. Good. Now you engage with a visualization. And the visualization is you imagine your genes in your body, your DNA. You're slowly, with the control of a nanobot in your internal world, you are coloring your genes and your DNA with winning genes, with a winning genome, with winning DNA. So imagine what that feels like, right? Biologically, that might feel like dopamine and testosterone, that motivation and that ferocity to doing that task. Then feel it emotionally. What does it emotionally feel like? Maybe you feel courage. Maybe you feel confidence. Maybe you feel bliss. Then what does it mentally look like? What are the belief systems underneath that support your mission, that support this path working on flow state for you? How does the chi or the prana in your body feel right now? And how can you activate it? By just a few movements, breath perhaps, posture change, that you can notice it flowing upwards towards your brain. Now what I want you to do is almost like if you've ever seen an EEG machine where they put electrodes on the top of your head, right? I want you to go about doing this right now. So take your fingers like claws and place it on your brain and just massage, almost like you're trying to open your brain up. You can do this on the top of your head, back of your head, okay, all the way to the front of your head, okay? This is just one example of something that you can do to completely twist your consciousness like a dial and get you completely tapped into the zone. You see, for children, any reinforcement is good. Being ignored is not ideal. For any child, being ignored or neglected is not ideal. Okay? So if you're not getting the positive reinforcement from your parents growing up, you're gonna rely on negative reinforcement. Okay? Look at how much trouble I'm getting in. Look at, where I'm going wrong, just to get some attention on you. We crave attention more than we think, and that attention is keeping you stuck. And that craving of validation gives your enemy or your competitor way more power than you. Okay? It's almost like you gotta fade out everything else from your mind than the finish line. That's how you beat your competitors. The mentality of, that guy who told Joe Rogan, I black out before I tap out, bitch. Okay? You ever seen that? Like, that is the essence or that energy of that instinct. Let's go. Let's go. I'm ready. I was born ready. My advice to you is in that task where you're trying to compete. It could be in chess. It could be, a songwriting competition, whatever it is. I want you to take that craft and then I want you to find a deity, okay? A specific deity. It could be in your own pantheon, wherever you come from. So if you're you have some Nordic influence in your family, You can go with that pantheon. If you're Indian, you can follow the Hindu pantheon or maybe the Buddhist one. Whatever it is. I mean, try and locate it within your own pantheon. It doesn't have to be. You got to choose it to be something close to you, okay? Some frequency, some energy that is close to you, that is going to help you win. Now, we at Primal Sutra, we actually help you make this link and that connection a lot easier on how you can do this. We have a protocol and a process for you to actually go through this. We've already helped out a bunch of different people to do this. The protocol is quite simple. You find a deity that you resonate with that will give you inspiration for that specific craft. If you're playing chess, you don't want to choose like a random fertility deity, right? Unless you need more sexual energy and prana charge to like make the moves or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, don't be ridiculous with it, okay? If you're looking for confidence, go for a deity that represents or symbolizes confidence, okay? It's as simple as that. A lot of people just go with, you know, in general, just God as an influence, as an inspiration, or Allah, right? Or Buddha, or whatever it is, right? Like higher divine power that they're tapping into, right? It's something otherworldly that they're tapping into. It is my belief that actually a lot of people are using this technology, this spiritual tech, to pull through this indomitable spirit. I've seen fighters do this. I've seen musicians do this. I've seen different, creatives do this. I've seen entrepreneurs do this. So you're not cut off from the equation just because you're in some specific field and you're like, oh, I crunch numbers. How can I use it there? There's a deity for that. Okay? So don't cut off the circulation or the possibility that you can have from this. Okay? Imagine you're a swimmer and you tap into maybe Poseidon's energy or Varuna's energy or any of the water deities, Mama Ocean, right? Imagine if you could do that to make your swimming easier. I mean, that's what I was doing when I was kind of in the water in Bali a lot. Like, I'm not the greatest swimmer, but I put myself into those uncomfortable situations and I discovered something, that if I hold my breath and just be in the water, my body is gonna automatically float up because my lungs are like this inflatable tube, right? That pulls me up into the water. And I discovered that through just beingness, pure presence and beingness, being in the moment, not being distracted by past and future, but being in the now, right? In that pocket of space that is so liminal and so temporary, that if you can maximize and stretch it out, stretch the dimensions of that time pocket out, you can actually stay there for a while. It's like when you have a psychedelic drug trip or something and you call it a come down, right? There's a peak and there's a come down. So you got to understand, where is your peak? And how are you going to maintain that come down from flow state, that recovery phase? Understanding flow state is so important for your peak performance. A lot of people are missing out on this. They're just binging Stephen Kotler videos trying to get it. Listen, some random datum from the Aubrey Marcus podcast isn't going to get you in the zone. It's not. I mean, it might help influence it, right? There's a little bit of impact, but there's got to come a time where you're like, yo, I'm going to beat Aubrey Marcus at his podcast and I'm going to do my own podcast. Oh, that's the energy that you're looking for. You're not looking for, oh, who are the greatest world leaders that can help me? And that's great too. Like, of course, learn from mentors, do the thing. But there's gotta come a level where you're like, yo, this is friendly rivalry with all my mentors now. Let's go. Let me show you what I'm made of. Let me show you what I'm made of. I'm not gold-plated, I am gold. So I hope this mentality hits you today. Maybe you're competing for something. Maybe you're like, yo, I need to get pumped up or amped up before this. Try silencing the mind, get into your body, trust the deity that you're working with, and move through it. Have an incredible day. May the flow be with you and stay legendary. Let's win today.